So good morning, and we're looking forward to talking to Fönix this morning, our partner in Norway on the games-based training project. Jan and Lillan, as you know, the games-based training project funded by Erasmus Plus has been looking at two challenges in the field of adult education with basic skills. One would be those people with low skills who have difficulties accessing traditional adult education, and also training where the target group has difficulties in terms of their motivation. We have addressed this by two key intellectual output targets with this project. One would be developing a guidebook for teaching with serious games. And the second one is an open online training course on teaching called Changing the Game. So introducing games-based training into the area of basic skills education is what the project is about. And we're going to be looking for each partner's experience to date and reflections on this. So starting off, I'm going to go through a series of questions. And the first one would be, Jan, maybe you can give us a brief introduction to Fönix, what you do and who your target groups are.
Yes, it's a pleasure. Fönix, or Phoenix as you call it, we say Fönix in Norwegian, these strange letters. But of course the name is based on the bird phoenix rising from the ashes. In Fönix we have two or three actually major target groups. We are working mostly with people who are outside the work market, and we try to get them back to the work market again. On the second hand, we work with people who are in the work market but are in danger of falling out, for example, of lack of basic skills or lack of vocational skills, formal skills. That's very important for us. And we also work a lot with migrants who are coming to Norway to learn how the work life is, and to learn, of course, the Norwegian language. So these are our three major target groups.
Great. In general terms, have you had much previous experience with games-based training?
Not very much, Alan. So we were very delighted to be part of this project. Of course, for the last 2-3 years, digital tools in general has been more and more important for us. And we use some traditional game-based training, but not to a great extent. We are like beginners, but we have learned a lot, not at least through the last year with the pandemic, where digital training has been more and more important for us, obviously.
Okay, now I'd like to look a little bit at the specifics in the project, and particularly the impact of the tools that are being developed. And I'd like maybe a response on that, both from a staff and a target audience point of view. How have you found the impact of the tools being produced?
The target group I worked with was foreigners learning Norwegian language on A1, A2 level. And it was some engagement from the students. Some of them found it very exciting to play. And some of them found it a bit boring because it was taking too long. What the target group said, it was just when the corona started, so we went from classroom until into Zoom, so it was very hard to engage the students. My thought was to have it in groups, so they had to talk to each other and find the solution together, and that way learn the language and maybe remember the words they learned. But instead, I had to improvise, so I was the one leading on. and they were following me. And for that reason, some of them found it a bit boring. We played Frost Rune, that is a Viking Age game. And the language was in Norwegian, the written language, and the spoken language was in Norse language. So it was hard for them to follow. The students learned inventory words and adjectives. And what they tell me now is that they don't remember any words they learned, but they remember how to explain the where you should go, right, left, straight forward, and stuff like that. The language in the game was too advanced for them to follow. So it was really difficult for new beginners. So I would believe that in B1 level, they would follow better. And they would also maybe learn some of the history of Norway by playing the game. But in this level, they were more, they had a target on solving the game instead of learning something about the history. Some of them said, I learned only some words. The game had difficult vocabulary, but if I play a Norwegian game again, I maybe will remember something. And another one said, it was exciting and the graphic was very good. I learned new words, but I don't think I learned anything about the history because I focused more about the target of the game. And another one said, both good together, boring and exciting for me was the game. So there was some engagement, but mostly it was because of the corona. I think it was, they didn't get into the game as I wanted.
Good. So therefore, in terms of your progress to date, is there a general improved awareness of games and what they can do, or is it about the same?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, Alan. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think the students got their eyes up for how they can use games to learn a language, but it has to do with interest, because I had one group of the class, so I didn't, the target wasn't like, this one is not interested in learning in traditional way, so I put them on gaming, but it was a general class. So that's why we got someone was bored and someone was excited.
I think the curiosity from the teachers has been improved during this project. And we also started, before this project, we started with a very enthusiastic teacher who was working here previously. He introduced Lego serious game as a game used in different levels in different classes. And when he quit, he left the Lego boxes behind, of course. And I have seen that these games with Lego is very interesting for a lot of other teachers who are picking them up. And I think they have been in use now every week for the last 3-4 months. So
okay.
the interest for game-based teaching and training has improved.
Okay, I think that gives a very, very good overall sense of what you've been doing and the progress to date, and I'm grateful for your comments on that. In more general terms, as we come to the end of this discussion, what is your feeling about the added value that Erasmus Plus in general and this project in particular has brought to your organization?
That goes almost without saying. We have been very active in Erasmus for many years, and for us as an organization with more than 200 employees, we try to involve as many employees as possible in the international projects. And because this is a very important base of our improvement and development. And Erasmus Plus has given us a lot of added value to many levels of education and training, coaching in Fönix.
Final point, one of the key aspects of the project and of Erasmus Plus, and you referred to it, would be the transnational dimensions. How important are those dimensions in terms of your overall work? International.
I think we in Fönix, I'm not quite sure about the figure, but for sure we work with maybe 15, 20 different countries. And we as Norwegians in a small country at the top of Europe, with very much money, we always think that we are the best. But what we experience when we work with Erasmus International is that every country has something to give back to us. We can learn from all cultures, from all countries. And I think this is the most important lesson or experience from the transnational work in Erasmus+. It's a pity now for the last year that we have not been able to do this, but hopefully it will come back someday, I'm sure.
Excellent. Well, I think that's a wonderful point to leave that at. And I'd like to thank both of you, Lillan and Jan, for your contribution and every success in the remaining time of the project. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan.